I'd like to start this presentation saying thank you to the organizers for inviting me, especially to Joel that found me in Australia and brought me here today. This presentation is going to be about the McLaren Vale Sustainable Wine Growing, which is a sustainability program assessment for viticulture. The program had a lot of contributors to be where we are today, and it is the direct result of those contributors, but also the trust of them in accepting the findings of my current ongoing PhD at the University of Adelaide. So I'm using all the findings to develop the program. This presentation will have basically three parts. I will introduce you to McLaren Vale, where we are, and then I will explain the main assumptions that we use to develop the program, and then I will show a little bit what the program is about and how we assess sustainability using the tools that we have today. So McLaren Vale is in the state of South Australia. You can see here. And we are about 35 kilometers from the capital, that is Adelaide, by the ocean. We represent about 5% of the production of the state, McLaren Vale. In the state is about 50% of the production of wines in Australia. It's mainly a red grape region. 90%, 85–90% of the region is red grapes. So the McLaren Vale has about 7.5 thousand hectares of area under vine. Annually, we produce on average 40,000 tons a year, and we have about 540 growers in McLaren Vale, mainly small growers under 20 hectares. We have seen this image like 100 times, showing that sustainability is this interaction between economic, environment, and social components. I like this image, but at the same time, I like this image because this image drives us away from the notion that sustainability is only about the environment, but at the same time creates this notion that we only have a sustainable system when those three components meet like equally. So for us in McLaren Vale, we found out that we have to assess sustainability, especially because we are developing a sustainability program over time, because the result's going to be different. If I have a point in time and I say, okay, I'm going to assess your vineyard, I'm going to have a result. And maybe if I evaluate this vineyard over time, the result's going to be different. So the system takes into consideration the time factor, and also takes into consideration the trade-offs that are naturally happening every day's decision in farms. So just giving a very simple example, a farmer might have in a year have to buy a new tractor, and because it's buying a new tractor, maybe the investments in biodiversity is going to be a little bit less. Or the opposite, it's planting trees all over the place and making the place more beautiful and attracting other species that might create a balance in the region, and maybe the owners won't be able to do the training or to travel to Champagne and learn new technology. So there are trade-offs in the everyday management of a farm, and we believe in our system that any assessment must consider those trade-offs, and especially consider those trade-offs over time. So those are the assumptions used to develop the program in McLaren Vale. So very briefly, the overall objectives of the program are to increase the overall sustainability of the region, increase grape quality, increase growers' profitability, improve the vineyards, preserve the land, because if you don't preserve the land, of course, we won't be able to keep producing. If it's possible, more than preserve, improve the land, optimize input use. The system, when I started about 3 years ago, would have like a preference for organic practices. Today we don't favor any farming system. McLaren Vale has a very fortunate situation because the disease pressure is very low, so people are very smart in using chemicals. So most growers are actually, they consider themselves low input growers using integrated pest management principles. There are about 25% of the region, they are organic or biodynamic. But we accept all the farming systems, and we are pretty much concerned about the consequences of any actions from the management point of view. So it's really about the outcomes of the actions. So minimizing, of course, environmental impacts, sustainable development of the region, if we can support local shops, if we can support local contractors, local consultants, anything that's local that make the families around the grower happier and more settled in the region. The program is going to try to find ways to promote those relationships. Also, production to optimize the maximum quality that it's possible to produce in a specific site. So different varieties, different qualities, but if you can produce the best quality possible for your site, that's the main objective of the program. And of course, resource management, because as it was said before by Isabel, we have a huge problem with water in Australia. So we have to be really smart on how to use water and how to manage water to keep producing and hopefully not create a problem with especially salinization. So the program, I'm not going to talk about the national initiatives on sustainability. There's no other sustainability program for vineyards in Australia. There are many sustainability initiatives, especially regarding environment, but to assess vineyard sustainability, we are the only one. The program was written, or the content of the program was written by local growers. As I said, McLaren Vale is about 35 kilometers south from Adelaide. Adelaide is the main center of winemaking and viticulture in Australia. All the industry bodies have their headquarters in Adelaide, and most companies, they have at least a viticulturist or someone with a formal education in viticulture. So this made it possible for me to use this resource, this local resource, and try to develop a system where growers would think that the assessment was useful for them to improve their practices. So it was written by the growers following the methodology that I'm going to present. And, but of course, we were very concerned about having a system, assessing ourselves, and then saying, yes, we are great, beautiful, and sustainable. I mean, nobody would believe us. So to give credibility to the way and the content of our program, reviewers were invited to assess our assessment and say, do you think the questions that we are asking about soil, for instance, do they make sense? Do they guarantee some sort of optimal outcome to the growers? And we had different experts from world-recognized institutions, usually people related to universities, PhD in very specific ways related to the chapters that we assess. And this content has been validated by them. Because of course, these reviewers, we had to develop a very big network of partnerships with all these organizations that gave us these people and helped us to develop the content of the program. It's a voluntary program. The association subsidized because the growers pay levy to have the association in place. So we only charge $50 per year per grower. That helps a little bit printing and materials and bringing people when we have seminars and anything related to the results. I'll explain how we do that. And the second thing that we thought that would be crucial to have a credible program was to have some sort of audit in our members, because all programs, they are based on self-assessment. But just to go there in every single property and try to understand if all the answers and every single answers, if they were correct or not, would be extremely expensive and most growers are very small, they don't export, so it would be difficult to make them spend this money to have someone inspecting their property. So we use a sampling approach based on what we do all over the world with taxes. So everybody that's out of the parameter, it's likely to be inspected. Like if the responses vary from the average, they are likely to be inspected. But we also have this random draw of vineyards. So 10% of the growers that are part of the program, they will be inspected every year. So this way we have a credibility in what we are self-assessing. This is just a picture showing how people are enthusiastic about all the meetings. We always have a very good turn-up and a series of partners, including the main sponsors of my research, that's GWRDC and the University of Adelaide. Just a program snapshot. Like when I started, we had 41 members. A member might have more than one vineyard. So, and meaning that they represent 56 sites, distinct sites with distinct addresses. Then the second year, we had 87, representing 145 sites. And now this year, the year we just finished the reports, we have now 120 members representing 191 sites. It's a massive increase in membership, and it is really pleasant to work in McLaren Vale because we are not doing a lot to bring new growers or to convince them. It's kind of a mouth-to-mouth result. People are seeing the usefulness of the results, and I'll show why. I think the greatest strength of the program is the way we are reporting data back to the growers. As I said, we had a lot of discussions on how we want to do the program, why we are doing this. Are we doing this because we need to have a certification? We need to prove to the world. Of course, we need to prove to the world what we're doing because we are not isolated. But at the same time, we really wanted to somehow help growers to improve their sustainability. So the main purpose is the self-improvement of the grower instead of having a seal or anything. We still don't have a seal. We're still working on it, having meetings, and there's a series of meetings that's going to happen after the results being launched next November. And the objective is how do we want to use these results, and I'll show a little bit that too. So how the assessment work? We have 6 main chapters divided as shown over here. The main chapters, or the most important chapters, are soil health, nutrition, fertilizer management, and pest and disease management. They represent each 20% of the system. The other chapters, they represent 15% of the system: biodiversity, water management, waste management, social relations, talking about workers, community, and wineries. It is about 122 topics, plus data collection on indicators that will help us to compare our results with the rest of the world. The results from the program each year are used to plan and to drive all the decisions on what we're going to do in a year in terms of publication, in terms of consulting, in terms of whatever is necessary to improve that area that the program is showing that we have some sort of gap to improve. The program has a very similar principle to the California Sustainable Alliance and Lodi and Oregon. They have different levels of sustainability. We do too. And I think the main difference is we have the 0 category. Like if you're doing certain things, you are just not sustainable. You're not getting points just by participating. As I said, we don't have a pass and fail mark. You are placed into a category depending on how you perform in the system. So, of course, we know that in the near future, retailers are going to say, okay, I only want to buy wine from grapes that are produced from growers they are in category 3, for instance. But we didn't reach this level yet, and we don't know yet how we're going to work with these different levels and how we're going to advertise these different levels, if you're going to put in labels or if you're going to have QR codes or just an internet, because as I said, we are a region with a lot of small growers, and they are very enthusiastic about the results that they are having from the program. And if I tell someone, okay, this grower is part of the program, but it's in category 1, probably the growers won't be happy. I mean, so we need to find a way to be truthful, to show the levels, but at the same time to promote people to continue and get better. Because people that are on 4, I'm not concerned about them. They are doing already. They certainly have more resources and more education, so they know their way through. But those people that are on the bottom line of the system, they are the ones that need our help the most. So the system goes from 0 to 4 plus non-applicable. Non-applicable means someone that doesn't have employees, for instance. Of course, they're not going to be assessed in the employees. There are 2 ways to improve in a system, or let's say, like using the word continuously improvement. One is through the update of the content of the book. The whole system is online now, and it was created in a very flexible way. So if there is a new technology in a world and something was in category 4 in a topic, I can adjust this in the following year and put that content in category 3, and then this new technology is going to be category 4. Example, to make myself, because it's very subjective what I'm talking here. For water, for instance, in our region, the most sustainable way to irrigate is drippers using reclaimed water or recycled water. So that's the most sustainable. So if someone is doing that, they are 4 in that topic. If someone creates a new system to produce water from the air, for instance, so this category that I have, drippers reclaim water, will be placed on 3, and this new system is going to be 4. So the system is very flexible, it's very agile, it's just a living system that hopefully it's going to keep up to date throughout the years. I mean, we have a massive contribution of the growers. There are committees for each one of the chapters, and we are developing the system like more and more efficiently to guarantee that the content makes sense and it's up to date to the practice that happen in a region. This is the face of the system. As I said, following that same illustrations from 0 to 4, increasing scenarios. So the purple one means, in this case here, I never tested my vines, for instance, it's 0. I'm sorry, there's no way to be 1. If you don't test, you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know what's going to happen. If you don't know what's going to happen, you have no idea what you're going to do now or what you need to do now. So the second one, they probably tested, but they tested in the past. So it's increasing scenarios, demanding more and more and more, but always, or most of the time, giving several options for different farming systems. So if there's a topic that talks about fertilizers, for instance, if you are a conventional grower, we're going to talk much more about consequences of use of fertilizers. If you're an organic grower, why you put in this amount. So there are different pathways that we accept and we evaluate in the same way and give the same score, but using those different pathways. So the system has the 0 to 4, as I said, but has also the reference from the previous year. So the grower knows the year before what they answer, so they can see if they are improving or not in a system. It has also the increase of sustainability. It has also, whenever it's possible, links to information related to the topic. Australia has a series of institutes that produce massively online and free information on viticulture. So most topics, they do have available information, very comprehensive, that explain how to improve and do things. We also, from this year, it is the first time, we are collecting GPS information where each block of the vineyard has a GPS point, a center point, and also we have to identify the variety, the year when that specific block was planted, the GPS coordinate for each one of them, then in the area. And we correlate this data, and we're starting to do this now, with the spray diaries from the growers. So we didn't, because we collected historical data for this season, I'm going to show you a little bit how we use chemicals in McLaren Vale, but from now on we are going to produce monthly reports, and I can tell them the disease pressure around them, and so they have this benchmark, whatever they are doing, and they can, hopefully make better decisions in terms of spray and understand what's going on with their neighbors. This is two pie charts that show what happened in 2012, how our members were distributed. Most members, as it is expected, I think, they are on level 3. That's very good. A lot of people say, oh, well, this is, kind of funny. You are showing those graphs, and it looks pretty good. But yes, because those are the people that were already somehow involved with sustainability and concerned about sustainability. Those are 195 sites. We have 60% of the region to go, and I know that the results probably are going to vary a little bit more over time. But the good news for me is some members, there were 3, they became 4 here. There are new members, there are 1, they are on the bottom of the system. But it is normal, and we're going to work with those people. And it is interesting because people there at 3, they really worked hard to reach the next level. And I visit some of them, and it is really interesting what's happening in the region. It's a very healthy competition to move forward in the system. As I said, I think the reason for growers to be part of the system is we are not just collecting data and not doing much with the data or just reporting data back to the government. The system was created to help growers to improve their sustainability. If from this data we can do something else, great. But the main objective, my work, is to make the system useful, to help them to manage their property in a wiser way. So we had this massive assessment in the beginning with a lot of topics, and 120 topics, and people would look all those numbers, oh my God, what do I do with this? Is this good, bad, where should I improve? I have to finish. I didn't know how to tell them, like, oh, you have to look this table in this way and this table and target this area. So we decided to plot those results, the 6 chapters, and also by section in spider graphs. And we kind of inverted a little bit the spider graphs in a way that the edges, it is like the best possible result. The center is the worst possible result. So instead of saying to the grower, you are 70% in the system, I say, you still have 30% to go. And this creates this discomfort in the grower because everybody, we have like school minds, and 70 is okay, but having 30 to go is like, wow, I can do something else. So that's how the system is presented to the growers. All the responses are also, I show the average of the region, so they have this benchmark, and so it's a very comprehensive and easy system. Just an illustration, things that we can do in terms of presenting data and showing them what they're doing and somehow benchmarking their actions against their peers. Clearly, last year in McLaren Vale, most growers sprayed for powdery on average 5.7 times. 25% of the growers did not use herbicides at all. For those who use herbicides, 2.2 times of herbicides. Yeah. And just the spider graphs, and the overall improvement was 3.5% from one year to another. And that's it. That's our system.